After executing one of the most puzzling and lopsided trades in NBA history, the Dallas Mavericks somehow end up landing the number 1 overall pick in the 2025 NBA draft. Let's talk about it. So, a huge story this week in the NBA came after the Dallas Mavericks won the NBA draft lottery and landed the first overall pick, which is presumed to be Duke's Cooper Flagg, despite having just a 1.8% chance to win the lottery, which was the 11th best odds in the NBA. Or I should say, the 4th worst. The prevailing opinion for me here is that many people will look at the Luka Dončić trade and believe that Dallas still came out on top. This is still one of the most puzzling trades to ever happen. The Mavericks trade their franchise superstar, still in his prime, and in return receive Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a first-round pick in 2029 from the Lakers and $55,000 cash from the Jazz. That is a very low number considering that Luka is still in his prime. Now, with the Lakers' early exit from the playoffs, people are starting to say, well, maybe Nico Harrison had a point. We all know that Luka's not in the best shape. We all know he doesn't play a lot of defense. And so people are starting to look at that and say, well, maybe Nico Harrison had a point. Yes, the Lakers' exit from the playoffs was early, but you know whose exit was earlier? Anthony Davis and the Dallas Mavericks. Now, the trade is puzzling, and I know I've done a video on the trade specifically, but I want to provide some background to those who are watching this video not having seen that one. Anthony Davis is 6 years older than Luka Dončić and has a significantly longer injury history, including this season. Now, what I want to pose here, and I have an answer to this, is would the Mavericks have been better off, assuming they do draft Cooper Flagg, and they've already stated that they're not trading the first overall pick, which was thrown out there, and they will draft Cooper Flagg. So it's all but guaranteed that Cooper Flagg will be a Dallas Maverick. The question is, would the Dallas Mavericks be better off with Kyrie Irving and Luka Dončić, or Kyrie Irving, Anthony Davis, and Cooper Flagg? This is a pretty significant debate in my mind because it's something I've been thinking about all day at the point of recording this video. And upon further inspection, it's clear to me that getting Cooper Flagg in the number 1 overall pick isn't necessarily a win for Dallas's future. Why? Because the question I posed is, would they be better with Kyrie Irving and Luka, or Anthony Davis, Kyrie, and Cooper Flagg? Because it's to be assumed that if they had not traded Luka Dončić to the Lakers, the Mavericks would have gone further into the playoffs than the play-in and not been eligible for the draft lottery, which is not too much of a stretch considering that just a year ago the Dallas Mavericks were in the NBA Finals. So, upon further inspection, I think about it and I say, not only is Anthony Davis 6 years older than Luka Dončić, and the only significant category in which he is better than Luka Dončić is defense, and that's not super arguable because everybody knows Luka's defensive shortcomings. But he's 6 years older than Luka. He's better only at defense. He has a significant injury history, but so also does Kyrie Irving, who tore his ACL towards the end of this season and will miss a significant portion of next season. And Kyrie Irving, at the time that we're recording this, is 33 years old, a year older than Anthony Davis. So even if you bring in Cooper Flagg, there's a legitimate chance that Cooper Flagg ends up carrying this roster that without Kyrie Irving for at least a portion of the season. And it's a safe bet to assume that at some point this season they will play without Anthony Davis, considering that Anthony Davis has only played more than 75 games in a season once in his career and has only played more than 56 games in a season once in the last 7 years. So this is a guy that it's a pretty safe bet that he will miss time as well, leaving Cooper Flagg, who will be 19 years old when his rookie season in the NBA begins, to carry the franchise that without Kyrie and without Anthony Davis really has nothing in the way of depth to fall back on. And with Kyrie's contract up in the next couple of years and Anthony Davis under control until 2028, but who knows if he'll last that long because of his injury history, the immediate future, even with Cooper Flagg, does not look super bright for the Dallas Mavericks. Now, there is a theory out there that the NBA forced Nico Harrison to trade Luka Dončić to keep the Los Angeles Lakers relevant since LeBron James is getting older. But considering that before he landed with the Lakers, Nico Harrison and the Mavericks tried to trade Luka to the Timberwolves for Anthony Edwards and the Bucks for Giannis Antetokounmpo, I don't believe that theory at all. I think they wanted to move on from Luka, however ill-conceived it may have been. I think even with his being out of shape and his lack of defense, he's still one of the most dynamic scorers in the NBA and has a chance, depending on how long he plays, to be one of the best scorers in NBA history. He can drop 40 anytime he wants. And while Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving have both had moments where they could be the leading scorer in their career, especially early in their careers, Kyrie, obviously, when he was with Cleveland, could do it. Luka Dončić is a more dynamic force than either player, especially now in their careers offensively. And so you can make all the arguments like, oh, it's because of his conditioning. Oh, it's because of his offense. And yes, the Lakers did recently post an active job post on Teamwork Online, a sports-only job board, for a head trainer. And the job post said something like, to motivate players to lift weights and condition, which seeming to be pointed directly at Luka Dončić. But it's crazy to me, all the slander we're seeing for Luka Dončić by the NBA, and he's still one of the best scorers the league has. Could he be in better shape? Absolutely. Could he play more defense? Yes, I think the whole NBA could play more defense. That's not just a Luka thing. His just seems more glaring. But I don't think this is a net positive for the Dallas Mavericks. Yes, Cooper Flagg is obviously the best player in this draft, but I even heard somebody say this is the easiest first overall pick. This is the most star-studded draft, all this stuff, since talking about this is the easiest first overall pick since LeBron. And it's like, did we not just forget 2 years ago when it was the Wemby show? Like, I don't think Cooper Flagg is as athletic or as dynamic a scorer as Luka Dončić. I don't even think he's as athletic and dynamic a scorer as Wemby. So it's hard for me to believe in any stretch of the imagination that a Dallas Mavericks team with a 32-year-old Anthony Davis, with a 33-year-old Kyrie Irving, who will all but likely miss a large chunk of next season, and a 19-year-old Cooper Flagg, who, while he's expected to be good at the next level, we don't know how many first-round picks that we thought for sure were going to do something ended up doing nothing. Nerlens Noel, Jahlil Okafor, Anthony Bennett. Andrew Wiggins had a late resurgence in his career, but we thought he was a bust in his early days with Cleveland as well before being traded to Minnesota. James Wiseman, Marvin Bagley III. These are players that were drafted in the top 3 or 4 picks in the last 10 years or so that completely did nothing. I don't think that's going to be Cooper Flagg, but at this point, I need to see proof on the court before I can believe that any combination of Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, and Cooper Flagg would be better than what the Mavericks had with Luka Dončić and Kyrie Irving. I don't think this is a net win for the Mavericks, and I don't subscribe to the theory that the draft lottery was rigged because Adam Silver wanted Luka to the Lakers, so in return they rigged the lottery to give the Dallas Mavericks, who had a 1.8% chance, the first overall pick, to get Cooper Flagg. I think that's ridiculous because I feel like year in and year out we see the first overall pick go to the team that does not have the highest odds. It happens all the time. That's the point of the draft lottery to not reward teams like the Philadelphia 76ers, who seemed to be tanking on purpose, the automatic first overall pick. And there were some at ESPN that even called for other sports to go to a lottery system. So I don't buy that this was an intentional situation. I don't buy that Nico Harrison knew that if by trading Luka Dončić he could get the first overall pick. And I don't buy, at this point, unproven, to the veterans with injury history, that adding Cooper Flagg to this Dallas Mavericks team could be better than previous Dallas Mavericks teams with Luka Dončić. I have to see it to believe it. Let me know in the comments what you think of the Dallas Mavericks getting the first overall pick. And until next time, I'm Roman Gennaro. This is Empire Sports Talk. It's a good day to go 1-0.